Hi everyone, my name is Trish. For those who don't know me, I am a mom, I am a wife, I am a yoga teacher, and I am also a budding midwifery student. And part of what led me into the work of midwifery, although it took some veering and journeying through all sorts of different careers and education and work, um, a large part of it comes down to the experiences of being bullied when I was younger and the desire to create a positive impact in the world rather than leaving people in such a hurt and vulnerable place. And so it is important to me that with almost every interaction that I have, that people are left feeling safe and comfortable and seen. Um, and I know that I am surrounded by a community of people who are also doing similar work. And when I found out about midwifery, it just felt like a fit. It felt like it was the way that I could contribute to the world in such a very significant and impactful way. And while I didn't actually embark on the journey of midwifery until a few years after I learned about the career, um, it was the inspiration of my daughters who had led me to this path, I guess, or back onto the path of midwifery, as it grew quite evident to me very quickly how much of a role model I was to them, and that by living out my own experiences, by reaching for my dreams and trusting the process, that I am able to then be able to do that for them and support them, and that it would be more than just words. It was because I had lived out and have been living out my own work. Um, and so even though I had in 2008 had originally considered the work of midwifery, it wasn't until 2013 when that whisper became a loud knock on the door that couldn't be ignored. And when my partner and I started doing digging into what it meant to be a midwife, the impact it would have on our family in terms of the career itself, on our relationship, the thing that stood out the most was the financial impact that it would have. Um, I almost walked away from the idea of midwifery again because it didn't seem like it was going to be the right time or ever a right time to be a midwife. Specifically because for 2.5 years, you're not able to work because you'll be in placements as well as still being a student, completing assignments, studying, whatnot. But with the support of a family member who encouraged me to apply, it was also stipulated by my family member that they would cover the financial cost of my tuition, the items related to school, as well as some of our living expenses. And so, with the support of my family member as well as my partner, I applied in 2014 at the beginning of the year and got in. And so I was quite surprised. I didn't expect it. But of course, I was ready to go when we were making this happen. But soon after being in the program, we were hit by a few big blows as a family and as myself as an individual. In January 2015, while I was 6 months pregnant, I was sexually assaulted in the apartment building where we live in the lobby. A couple months later, our second daughter was born at home in the care of two amazing midwives. Various family struggles have started to reach the surface, reach levels that were creating major ripple effects in various family dynamics. And somehow I managed to wade my way through my first year, through all my summer courses. And then when we started the second year in 2015, the biggest blow was that the financial support we were receiving abruptly ended without any sort of indication that that was going to happen. And so while that was a major setback and while we were extremely stressed, my partner and I figured we were going to make it work somehow. And so we used up all of our savings. I maxed out the small line of credit that I was given, maxed out my credit cards, and my partner's art career, much of the earnings that he had made from that were funneled into the family to supplement the income I was no longer making because I wasn't working as much. And I was also, at that point, still on maternity leave. And we also had in the back of our mind that I was going to apply for OSAP, which would help. So coming through to the 2017 school year, I applied for OSAP and was promptly met with restrictions. And I completed all those restrictions within a week and still was getting the runaround, not really getting any clear answers, not having messages and emails returned. And so I have been sitting in a waiting game in terms of my OSAP. In the meantime, I reached out to the bank. I reached out to some family members. I looked into scholarships. I've applied for a grant. And we've, of course, reconfigured our budgets and bills quite some time ago at the loss of that financial support from a family member. So we had already been scraping by in a lot of ways. And so this wasn't something that we had anticipated, had planned. And the biggest problem with all of that is that if I don't pay my tuition by mid-November, November 15th exactly, then my entire education, the last 3.5 years, will be for nothing because I won't be able to be registered for any placements going forward if I don't pay my tuition. And I'm not okay with that. I was meant to be a midwife. I am meant to be a midwife, and it terrifies me at the thought, not just of how much time I had put into it or effort that I put into it, but like watching the dream that has felt like the most beautiful fit for who I am and what I'm about and how I can contribute just to slowly slip between my fingertips. Yes, I am considering, or not considering rather, yes, I am putting in an appeal, but that can take as far into the new year, way beyond the deadline of when this tuition and future tuitions need to be paid. And I have dealt with a lot of this on my own in silence. My classmates and some faculty have literally watched me day in and day out have headaches and migraines, days on end, as I navigate being an employee, a mother, a wife, and a student. And, you know, I'm a pretty private person. I don't necessarily let on when I'm wading through dark, murky waters. I don't let on when the darkest moments or the deepest of depressions weigh in and weigh on me. There is still the Trish who is happy and hopeful and optimistic, which I know can confuse some when talking about mental health and depression. But I am not willing to put my mental health, I'm not willing to put my happiness, I'm not willing to put my career in the balance because of OSAP denying me. And I, despite being a relatively private person, I am more terrified of not realizing my dream of becoming a midwife than I am of you knowing a bit more about myself. And so this is where the help comes in, I guess. Whether it is 5, 10, 50, whatever contribution, if you can share this on your platforms, any sort of help is so appreciated. It will be something that doesn't just impact me and my family. It is impacting the work of birth. It is impacting the work of women of color. It is impacting so much more than I think I can even realize. And I need your help to be able to do that. And so if you've made it this far in the video, I thank you. And have a great night.